Good afternoon. My name is Zonghao from Duke. Today I'm going to present our work, the impact of exposed passwords on Honeyword Efficacy. So this is a joint work with Lujo, Bauer, and Reiter. So our work is about the analysis on Honeywords. So first of all, I would like to introduce some background behind Honeywords. Nowadays, we have seen many credential database breaches where we have many leaked passwords. So RockU 2024 is such an example, which is released in July this year. It includes around 10 billion passwords connected from old and recent credential database breaches over the past 20 years. What is worse, there usually exists a significant delay between the breach and its discovery, from 6 to 8 months on average, according to the IBM security report. And during this period, the attacker can exploit useful information from the breach account. And Honeywords is a technique used to accelerate the detection on credential database breach. It's first introduced in 2013. Honeywords are decoy passwords added to the database, such that each account in the database has one real password and several Honeywords. If the database is breached, the attacker can access the passwords in the database by reversing their hashes. He does not know which one is the real user password. He might try some of them to log in the system. If he tries T Honeywords per account, for example, T is equal to 2. So this will raise the system breach alarm. And there exist many Honeyword generation algorithms used to generate Honeywords. They could be divided into two types. The first type is password independent. So this method utilizes a password model to learn the distribution from passwords. For example, PCFG, and sample candidates from the password model and add them as Honeywords into the database. The second type is password dependent. So this method focuses on a password space conditioned on the user password, sample candidates from this conditional password space, and add them as Honeywords into the database. Our work is to systematically evaluate Honeywords. First, we want to focus on the trade-off between false positive rate and false negative rate of Honeywords. However, most existing research works ignore false positive rate of Honeywords. We do believe that this has been a mistake. And also, we are interested in a false negative rates of Honeywords under password exposure. Specifically, we consider a strat model where we assume that the false negative attacker can access some passwords from the same user at other sites. This is realistic because we have many leaked passwords, and the false negative attacker can utilize this information to achieve a higher false negative rate. And in our work, we consider two cases. In the first case, the user password is user-chosen password, while in the second case, the user password is machine-generated password. We are the first to provide analysis on Honeywords for the machine-generated password, but we admit that this is for some limited scenarios. It only at risk if the passwords are stored using some reversible encryption. But due to time limits, we only present the result for the user-chosen password case. So let me define our false positive attacker, which is also known as the false alarm attacker. So his goal is to trigger the system breach alarm when there is no credential database breach. We assume that he knows the user password at the site by pitching or registering an account at the site, and also the Honeyword generation algorithm applied by the site. His goal is to utilize this information and method to guess the Honeywords in the database in order to trigger the system breach alarm. The false negative attacker, which is also known as the breach attacker, he wants to exploit the breach account without raising the system alarm. In other words, he wants to distinguish the real password from Honeyword. So we assume that this attacker knows some passwords from the same user at other sites, and also the breached database. His goal is to distinguish the real password. We model his capability by a transformer-based similarity model. And he could utilize this similarity model to measure the similarity between the password from other sites and the password in the database. As such, he could obtain the scores for the password in the database. And he predict the password with the highest scores in the database as the real password. Let me introduce our experimental setup. In our experiment, we consider 4IQ dataset, which is a password dataset connected from various credential database bridges. And it's widely used in some password-related paper where they assume that the attackers know some passwords from the same user at other sites. It includes around 1.4 billion email and password pairs, and we use 80% for model training and 20% for testing. For the Honeyword generation algorithm, we consider 22 representative methods. 5 of them are password-independent methods, and 17 of them are password-dependent. Now let's see some of our experimental results. So here's this figure refers to the evaluation of the list Honeyword generation algorithm. So list is a password-independent method. It generates Honeywords by sampling from a password list. In this figure, the x-axis is the false negative rate, represent the probability that the false negative attacker succeeds. So when the false negative rate is closer to 1, so that means the false negative attacker has higher probability to succeed. And the y-axis is the false positive rate. So it represents the probability that the false positive attacker succeeds. We have 4 curves in each graph. So each represents a trade-off between the false positive rate and false negative rate. We obtain each curve by varying the threshold t. So for example, in one curve, so the leftmost point is referred to the setting where the threshold t is equal to 1. And we obtain the successive point by increasing the t. And the blue one refers to the evaluation for all the users. And the orange one refers to the evaluation for easy users whose password list from other sites and those from the bridge database intercept. And the green one is for median users whose password list from other sites and those from the bridge database do not intercept but have some similarity. And the red one is for hard users, so whose password list from other side and password list from the bridge database do not intercept and do not have any similarity. So in a word, easy, medium, hard reflect the hardness that the false negative attacker can distinguish the user password from Honeywords. So from this figure, we can see that this method have a false negative rate close to 100% if the false negative attacker targets the easy users only. And here is another evaluation, the evaluation for another Honeyword generation algorithm, P2P, which is a password-dependent method. It generates Honeywords by utilizing a deep neural network to generate edit paths used to trick the user password. If we compare these two methods, one is password independent and the other is password dependent under the same setting, we can see that password dependent methods usually have a lower false negative rate but a higher false positive rate. This is because password dependent methods generate Honeywords more similar to the user password, and thus it's harder to the false negative attacker to distinguish the user password from Honeywords. However, because the generate Honeywords are more similar to user password, it thus is easier for a false positive attacker to guess the Honeywords to launch the false alarm. And in these two figures, we have the perfect performance located around the left bottom, so where the false positive rate is approximately 0 and the false negative rate is 1 divided by 1 plus k. K is the number of Honeywords per account. And we see that their performances are far away from the perfect point. So this is because in order to achieve a low false negative rate, the Honeyword generation algorithm should generate Honeywords very similar to the user password. But this will lead to a very high false positive rate. As such, we can conclude that there is no existing Honeyword generation algorithm achieving a good balance between false positive and false negative and false positive. And I encourage our audience to check more results in our paper. So here's the takeaway. So first, false positive rate and false negative rate are both important to evaluate a good Honeyword generation algorithm. However, it's very challenging to achieve a good balance between them, especially we consider a threat model where the false negative attacker can know some passwords from the same user at other site. And of course, we have some results and analysis from the machine-generated case, and please feel free to check our paper for them. And that's it. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you.